I don't have, it says host disabled, participant sharing screen.
Now
Now I
you
can do
can.
it.
Now you can. Rabbi Rue did
Okay.
that, not me.
That's okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, people see the screen? Yes? Okay, great. Hope everyone's feeling well, doing well. I want to continue. We were to finish up this piece that we were doing, the Rambam in Hilchot, at the beginning of Hilchot Avodah Zarah, where he gives us a history lesson as to the origins of Avodah Zarah and how the world sort of returned through the Avot, through Avram Avinu, basically, and his progeny, to an understanding and a recognition of the one true God. And we talked about this last time, and I want to just pick it up. Hold on one second. Yeah, this is all in the first parak of Hilchot Avodah Zarah, that he speaks about Avram Avinu. Once he became of age, and once he started looking at the world, he recognized there must be a greater power and a greater force that's running everything in the world. And he came to understand it. As I said last week, I want to just pick up a little bit on what we were talking about when we concluded last week, that he came to an understanding that there must be a God, a force that's moving everything, that sustains everything, that created everything, and it keeps everything going, so to speak. And the Rambam here says, Ben Arba'im Shana, he was 40 years old. I said there are some midrashim that say he was 3 years old when he recognized God. And he began to give answers to people and to engage the people in Ur Kasdim, and to really go, it says he broke the idols, literally and physically. We know the story of Avram smashing the idols in his father's idol shop. And certainly it could be literally, but clearly it's also figuratively. Avraham was smashing the idols. Avraham was breaking down the beliefs that had crept into society of idolatry, that had moved away from a worship of the one true God to all different kinds of gods and deities and statues and avodah zarahs. And he brought people away from that people should understand that that's not correct. And there are, I would say, I want to read on a little bit and see that we'll look at this paragraph, that there are two aspects that we see different that Avram had. There were always people, it seems, and the Rambam himself says it, Noach, and maybe the leaders of the generation that are mentioned in the generation in the Torah, the generations, the 10 generations from Noach to Avram, of people who did recognize there was, we know that there's Yeshivat Shem Ve'ever, there's this school which is teaching about God and keeping true to the belief system of a one God in the world. And yet there's something special about Avram. And what we see here about Avraham in this paragraph is, I think, a piece of it. Kevan shagavar alehem b'rayotav, once he started bringing proofs and showing them. Bikesh hamelech lahorgo, the melech, Nimrod wanted to have him killed. V'naseh lo nes, and a miracle was done. V'yatzal Haran, he ran away. V'itchil la'amod v'lekro b'kol gadol l'chol ha'olam. He began to engage and tell other people about God. Ulahodi'am, and to let them know sheyesh sham eloka echad l'chol ha'olam, that there is one God. V'lo ra'ui la'avod, and it's worth it to worship him. והיה מהלך וקורא ומקבץ העם מעיר לעיר ומממלכה לממלכה, and in all his travels he'd be like an itinerant preacher. עד שהגיע, and it's interesting, once he got to Eretz Canaan, והוא קורא, and there he would call out, it seems to be that he recognized that this is the land which is special, and this is the land which needs a special calling out to humanity. והוא קורא שנאמר ויקרא שם B'Shem Hashem Elokei Kel Olam. And he called out there in the name of Hashem Elokei Olam. He called out to God. And this is what he would do. And I would say that we see two unique things about Avraham Avinu, which it tells us, which the Rambam is telling us here. I'll just go back to this because I'm just going to take a break from the reading for a second. And I think those two things are that he had a discovery himself. He rediscovered the idea of a God, that there must be a God. And the second aspect, the second special thing that we see about God, about Abraham, is that he felt a need to share this and to spread this to all of humanity. He wasn't content with saying, I know the truth, I'll give it over to my little people, I'll keep it. But he felt that this was important, and he had a caring, and we know that Avraham typified the midah of chesed, kindness. And part of the chesed was to share this with humanity. And it's a twofold idea, I think. Number one is ben adam l'chavero, that he felt that this is a kindness to do to people, that people should recognize and understand it, to set them right, to set them on the right understanding of God, on the right path. It's also ben adam l'makom. It's also good for, it's also what's right, that everyone should recognize there's a God. But it's also ben adam l'chavero. It has both of those aspects built in, I think, in terms of what Avram did in sharing it with humanity. And even these two aspects which I said, which are the discovery which he made, and the fact that he felt a need to share it with everyone, very well could be, I would say, that those two things are connected. A lot of times when we come to something and we see something ourselves, and we have a chidush, and we come up with something which we come to understand, which we didn't understand before this, that really, what comes along with that is almost a desire, I would say, and a longing to want to share that with others, just like I discovered something new. Sometimes you find the people who are people who are FFBs, who grew up religious and grew up with this. So we don't necessarily, now speaking generalizations, the idea of sharing it, of doing kiruv, of reaching out to others, sometimes might be a little bit lost on some of us. I'll speak to myself. But somebody who rediscovers it anew, who's new to religion, to an understanding of the beauty of Torah, of mitzvos, of Shabbat, they sometimes have this desire, which other people don't have, to say, well, I discovered something, just like we see, wow, this is so new and so beautiful. It's a lahavdil, a great recipe which we found. This is amazing. This is just unbelievable. I want to share it with my friends. So the fact that Avraham has these two aspects in terms of which the Rambam is madgish, the Rambam emphasizes in terms of who Avraham was. Number one, his rediscovery himself, that he came to it not through the Mesorah, not through his Yerusha, so to speak. Sometimes we get things as an inheritance, but he got it from discovery. He himself, he was a trailblazer, Avraham, and he blazed a new trail, and that would lead, it would seem to me, very much to wanting to spread that. It's Davka, the trailblazer, who reaches out to other people and wants to share that beauty with other people as well. I'm sure I've shared with you, the idea, Avram, and we see this very much in the name and the word Yerushalayim. There's a famous Gemara which says that Hashem made a compromise between two great tzaddikim. It says that Shem ben Noach, Malkitzedek Melech Shalem, who was the Shem, the son of Noach, he called Yerushalayim Ir Shalem. It says Umalkitzedek Melech Shalem. And Avraham called it Hashem Yireh. God will see. He called the place after the Akedah. God will show, will see, will appear. And Hashem said, what do I do? Hashem was the first great negotiator. He arranged a compromise. He said, if I call the Yerushalayim Shalem, Avram will be insulted. If I call Yerushalayim Yireh, Shem will be insulted. So what did he do? He combined the two words. And that's how we come to the word Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, which is a combination of Yireh and Shalem. And, if you think about it, it's not just a mere play on words. Yireh, Shalem, put them together, make Yerushalayim. The idea is I think, very deep. Shem ben Noach came from a Mesorah. He got, Adam gave to him, gave to Noach, gave to Shem to Aver. They received the Mesorah from their parents, and they tinkered with it. They fixed it. They polished it. They made it better and better. Avram was different. Avram didn't have a Mesorah. He grew up in Ur Kasdim. His father was an idol worshiper. He was a bolt of lightning. He was Yireh, vision. Avram had the vision. Shem was the Shalem, lahashlim mashayesh. You have something, make it better, polish it. You were given a Mesorah. Avraham was the vision thing. And God took it to make Yerushalayim, said, we're going to combine the Mesorah that we have to polish and make better and better. And we're going to combine it with the vision, with the bolt of lightning, which Avraham was. And we're going to put it together to build Yerushalayim, to make Yerushalayim what it is. So Avraham, I think we've talked about this before, so I won't belabor it. Yeah, Avraham was the represented this bolt of lightning, this trailblazer, which brought things back. And this is the I think what Avraham gave to the world. And it's a sharing, and it's a love and a caring from humanity. And that's what we see here in what the Rambam is saying. He said he went and he spread the word. But what does it say? We all learned it in the Chumash. Everyone says, "Vayigan sham mizbeach, vayikra b'shem Hashem." What does that mean? He built a mizbeach and he started calling out. What do you mean, vayikra b'shem Hashem? Vayikra b'shem Hashem. He called out. And the Mefarshim say it. The Rishonim say it. There are other aspects of what vayikra b'shem Hashem might mean, but certainly on a very Pashat, very simple level. Vayikra, he called out. He taught people, and this is what the Rambam is saying. He said, people gathered to him, and they would ask him questions. Al dvarav, what are you saying? He would teach them. Kefi da'ato. He was a good educator. He was able to teach each one kefi da'ato, according to their understanding. Ad sheyachzirehu l'derech ha'emet. Ad shenitkabtzu elav, until he became a master teacher. And until he had Talmidim, which ranked in the Alafim v'Rivavot. V'heim anshe Beit Avraham. And these are the people who went along, Avraham, and the people who were part of Beit Avraham. The people who joined him, they recognized his cause, and they joined his cause. Vishatal, and he implanted, like shtila, mishtala, he planted bilibam in their hearts, ha'ikar hagadol hazeh, this great ikar. Like a great teacher is able to implant something, a seed, into the hearts of their followers. And rather than say, come to me, you have to come to me for everything. But if a teacher implants something into the heart, then that's able to stay with a person. And the person is able, each individual is able to grow what they have been implanted with and what they have gotten. And that's what Avraham Avinu was able to do. And I spoke about this a little bit last week, and this idea, and I've been thinking about it this week, this idea of caring about humanity. Avraham was the father of our nation. Avraham was the father of Hamon Goyim, because he cared deeply about humanity, and he saw the rest of humanity, certainly his children, but even the people who came along with him who were not Jews. We don't see that these people, the Jews, Avram and Yitzchak had the Shvatim, and that was the Jewish people. These other people were not officially, they're not part of the Jewish people, but he cared about them. He had a love for humanity. And this is something which we talk about. We love our families, and we love our friends and our neighbors, and the love should extend to our nation, to everyone who's part of Am Yisrael, what the Meshech Chochmah calls Ahavat Ha'umah, a love of the nation, and also certainly that we should have in our hearts also to love all of humanity, and this is something which is a lesson and something for all of us to think about. We're approaching Purim, and I want to talk about something to get a little bit later today. Also to talk about Purim. I listened, I guess, where Ruben was talking about how to make the most of your Purim Suda. So I guess he's talking about the laws of Purim. Also, we're getting into the spirit, but this idea of really caring about humanity and caring about and seeing ourselves as part of the nation, of the Jewish nation. I think there's a beautiful lesson which it's one of the nicest things I've ever heard from a nephew of mine who once said this idea, which I think is just so beautiful about Purim. On Purim, we whereas Haman spoke about Am Mefozar and Meforad, a nation that's fractionized and spread out amongst the Malchut Achashverosh, and we do things starting with, we read Parshat Shkalim to show the Achdus of Klal Yisrael, and even the Mitzvos Hayom to show the unity and to increase Ahava ve'Achva ve'Shalom ve'Re'ut, like the mitzvos which we have on Purim. It's interesting that this holiday, which is supposed to promote Achdus, is the one holiday where people celebrate on different days. And, we have, if you live, our friends in Yerushalayim, and some of us, have children in Yerushalayim, we're celebrating it on Friday. This year, Dafka, everyone's reading the Megillah because we don't read the Megillah on Shabbat. So they read the Megillah also on the same day that we do. They read the Megillah on Friday. Normally they read the Megillah on the 15th. We read the Megillah on the 14th. For people in Yerushalayim, it's actually a very interesting year because there's a whole machloket when they celebrate Seudat Purim and when they do Mishloach Manot. They basically, you have opinions like everything. Mostly they do it on Sunday, they do a Seudah, but they also do on Shabbos. Many do a Seudah. But in general, the Megillah, this year they're reading the Megillah the same day as we do. So maybe this year we have real Achdus, that everyone reads the Megillah on Friday. But one would think that a holiday which is supposed to promote Achdus, which is supposed to promote unity, they wouldn't from the very beginning make this idea that if you're from a city which is a non-walled city, you read on the 14th. If you're the walled city, you read on the 15th. You're creating right away different ways. You're creating machloket. You're creating different ways of doing things that, You would think this is a holiday where the idea of the holiday, one of the main ideas of the holiday, is to promote unity. Everyone should celebrate it on the same day. Why did they originally ordain the holiday that, because of Shushan? We know why. Shushan this, Shushan had another day. They created on the 15th. They celebrated on the 15th. Therefore, in the future, they ordained they do it on the 15th. All other cities that were walled to give cover to Eretz Yisrael, that was Bechurva at the time, cities that were walled from the time of Yehoshua ben Nun, from the time of the conquest, also read on the 15th. So we know the halachic reason, but it doesn't seem to make sense that if this is a holiday which is supposed to promote unity, that from the very beginning, they make two separate days to celebrate the holiday. So this young fellow, a nephew of mine, said an idea which I always like saying over because I think it's an important and beautiful idea. He said that unity doesn't mean that we all have to be the same. Unity means I have to care about you. I have to respect you. I have to respect your point of view, maybe even learn from your point of view, even if I don't 100% agree with your point of view. But unity doesn't mean conformity. Achdus doesn't mean ichud, that we have to be completely the same. It doesn't mean, on the contrary, what creates a beautiful harmony, any of those of us into music, the beautiful music and beautiful harmony can only be created if you have different voices coming in and creating this beautiful, beautiful harmony. If everyone's singing the same tone, then there's no harmony. Then the music is not beautiful. So Achdus doesn't mean, so maybe Dafka, it's this holiday where we celebrate Achdut, where we celebrate the Achdut, where Dafka, we do it on separate days to teach us this lesson that true Achdut means that just like the different Shvatim had their different accents and different strengths and different ways which they emphasized of coming close to and serving God, so too we should be able to have that and appreciate that as well. And this is what Avram is teaching when he taught the love of humanity, to teach and to care and to respect, I think, all of humanity. Just to finish up this Rambam and Hilchos Avodah Zarah, there's one other thing I want to mention, which is very interesting, I think. He talks about Avraham doing this. Look at what he says here. I think it's fascinating in a way. It says he did this, and he had alafim v'ravos, tens of thousands of people who follow him, and he planted in their hearts this v'chiber bo sfarim, and he wrote books. Some say books about how not to get involved in avodah zarah. We don't know what books these exactly are. This is not the Torah, but the Mefarshim explain books how not to get involved with avodah zarah, or maybe books about understanding God and service of God. Now look what it says now. V'hodio liYitzchak beno, and he taught his son Yitzchak. V'yashav Yitzchak, and Yitzchak sat milamed umazhir, and he taught also and warned. V'Yitzchak hodia liYaakov, and he taught his son Yaakov. Uminehu, and he appointed him lilamed, also to teach. V'yashav, and he sat milamed, teaching. Umachazik kol hanilvim elav, and he also taught and strengthened those people who gathered unto him. The Yaakov Avinu lamad banav, and he taught his children kulam v'hivdil Levi, and he separated Levi to be the shevet of teachers, Rosh v'hoshivu b'yeshiva lamed derech Hashem, and he went on and he goes on and he taught the Shvatim, and this is what and he continues with this. What's interesting, and I wanted to point out, is there's a person here who gets short shrift. He's the one of the avos that always gets short shrift, and that's Yitzchak. It says Avram had thousands and tens of thousands of people who followed him, who he taught, and he taught about the Torah, he taught about this, and he called out in the name of God. And Avram taught Yitzchak, and Yitzchak taught Yaakov. And that's all it says about Yitzchak. And then Yaakov had all the people who followed him, and he taught the 12 Shvatim and Levi, and it went on, and it talks about Yetziat Mitzrayim, and that's what he talks about. why does Yitzchak seem to, it's interesting that of the three Avos, Avram was the Chesed, Avraham was the father of our nation, I guess, so we'd speak, right? Yaakov was the patriarch, in that Yaakov, his mitato shlema, he had the 12 tribes, everyone that came out of him, whereas Avraham had Yishmael and Yitzchak had Esav. Yaakov was the patriarch of the nation. And Yitzchak, it seems like Yitzchak is just a link. Yitzchak, the Rambam doesn't say anything about Yitzchak having lots of people following him and lots of people who he impacted and who he influenced. It says it about Avram, but it doesn't say it about Yitzchak. And then it returns and says it about Yaakov. Why was Yitzchak the least popular of the Avos? If you see it in the Torah also, it's very interesting. You have, the Parshiot, which are devoted, Lech Lecha, Vayera, Chayesara. Then you have, Toldos, and then Vayetze is Vayetze Yaakov already. You have, and even Toldos is a lot of what's going on, Yaakov and then Vayetze, Vayishlach, Vayeshev, Mikeh, it's all Yaakov and his children. If you look at the Chumash at Sefer Bereshis, Yitzchak is really the, it's like the middle child that gets the least, doesn't get the same attention. Yitzchak is the middle of the Avos, and he seems to get the least attention. So I once saw actually in Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, it's a Sefer Emes LeYaakov, which I mentioned before, and he talks about Yitzchak, the message which the Avos gave to the world. We always say Avraham typified the midah of Chesed, and you see it. He taught, he brought people closer. It said Avram was mekarev the anashim, and Sarah was mekarevet et anashim. They had the tent, the famous tent. We all teach the children learn open from four directions. Hachnosas orchim. That's Avram. Yaakov, we say titen emes liYaakov. Yaakov was the midah, even though Yaakov had to do things, it's a separate discussion, where sometimes he had to deal with trickery, but Yaakov was the midah of emes, of truth. Yitzchak was the midah of gevura. Yitzchak was the korban who was brought for the Akedah. And in a way, Rav Kamenetsky says, it's an interesting thing. Chesed is a popular message that resonates with people. And emes is a popular message. It resonates with people. Truth, honesty. You have to be, that's something which is a message which draws people in. Yitzchak, we say, Yitzchak was the midah of gvura, was, took a certain strength. You say that Avram was metaken tfilat shacharit. Yaakov, Gola started with Yaakov Arvis, the nighttime, and Mincha was Gevura. And the Rebbe used to say, Mincha is always hardest to daven. It's the shortest davening. But Shacharis in the morning, you get up, you daven Shacharis. Before you go to sleep, you daven Ma'ariv, it's at night. Mincha, especially during the short days, you have to have the strength to stop what you're doing in the middle of work day, in the middle of what's going on. It takes a certain Gevura. Yitzchak was metaken the Tfilas Mincha. The midah of Gevura, that sometimes we have to stand up and be strong, and we have to do what's maybe very difficult for ourselves and maybe not so popular with the world. Gevura is a midah which is less something which draws people in. So it could be that's why Yitzchak's message and Yitzchak's popularity amongst the people, Yitzchak didn't have, maybe there are other theories, it's just something to think about, but you see clearly the way the Rambam gives the history lesson, Avram's popularity and Yaakov's popularity, Yitzchak did not come, he wouldn't have scored high on the popularity polls. He wasn't drawing people in the same way that Avraham and Yaakov were drawing people in. Okay, I don't want to, I'm not going to read the end here of this, the Rambam, but this is again, it's a well-known Rambam at the beginning of Hilchos Avodah Zarah. I want to spend just the time finishing up to the little time that's left to us today. There's a Rambam, as I mentioned, maybe next week we'll move over to something. I'm looking at some things in to switch back to Nachmanides, to the Ramban, trying to give equal the Rambam, as I said, at the end of a lot of the laws, the sets of halachot, he sometimes, even though it's a book in Mishnah Torah, which is a law book, he sometimes expands a little bit and gives a little almost some musar. At the end of, in Hilchos Megillah, the Rambam talks about, most of it is talking about the laws of Megillah, when you read, how you read, who has to read, this and that. But then he talks about the other mitzvahs of the day, which you were discussing when I got on, the mitzvah of Sudas Purim, mitzvah of Mishloach Manot, the mitzvah of Matanot Le'Evyonim. And in these three halachot I want to read with you, he talks about these mitzvot, and he says in Halacha Tezvav, Ketzad Chovat HaSeudah. What's the Chovat Seudah Zu Sheyochal Basar? You see, the Rambam wasn't a vegetarian. He didn't believe it's tough on a Friday. My wife said, maybe we should have milchiks this year for the Purim Seudah. I said, I imagine some people are having milchiks for the Purim Seudah this year, especially those people who are not doing Pores Mapo Mekadesh. They're doing milchiks, but okay, he says, doesn't mean you have to have meat, but this is the way the Rambam, certainly in his society, the way he saw a Suda. The Suda was meat. The Yatakein Seuda Na'ai. You should make a nice Seuda Kfi Asher Timsei Yado, based upon what you're able to have. V'shoteh yayin, and you drink, there's a mitzvah to drink wine. Anshe yishtaker v'yiradein b'shichruto. Interesting, different opinions, how one should drink, how much. Says drink, drink and fall asleep. Like some people were known, they take a drink, they don't get really drunk, but they take a nap afterwards. And that's the way they're Mekayim ad de lo yada bein Baruch Mordechai la'or Haman. That's what the Rambam says. V'chein chayav adam l'shloach shtei manot basar o shnei minei tafshilin o shnei minei ochlin lechavero. And then there's the mitzvah of mishloach manot. Mishloach manot ish lechavero. So we know this, that the mitzvah of shalach manos is two different minim to one person. Even though we can give a lot of shalach manos, but to be yotze, the mitzvah of shalach manos, we give two different manot to one person. Shneimar u'mishloach manot, as the pasuk says, mishloach manot ish l're'ehu, shtei manot le'ish echad, shtei manot le'ish echad. It's very interesting that the Rambam here says two different minei, two different kinds of food. There are actually some opinions, there are a couple of misconceptions. One major misconception that people have, and kids are taught this in school, that you send two different things with two different brachos. Anybody hear of such a thing? Did you ever learn that or hear that the food should have two separate brachos? It's not true. It's just not true. I don't know of anybody who says such a thing. Even, I'll tell you the truth, it says mishloach mano, two portions. It doesn't actually, there are those who, I've seen it discussed. The Rambam says two different foods. But let's say you give two pieces of chocolate cake. It's the same chocolate cake, but you cut two nice pieces of chocolate cake. There's certainly some opinions that would be enough. But it's two foods. It doesn't have to be two brachos. The Rambam does say two different kinds of foods. To one person, and one is Yotze with that, the mitzvah of Mishloach Manot. What's interesting is that the Rambam gives the mitzvah, he says the mitzvah of Mishloach Manot together with the mitzvah of Seudah. It's a very interesting topic in halacha. There's a famous, in Lamdush, in learning, there's a very interesting chakira, interesting in the yeshivos, if you have your people who are, into a chakira, a brisker chakira. But there's an interesting chakira, whether the mitzvah of Mishloach Manot is connected with the mitzvah of Seudat Purim, or it's just a separate mitzvah to create good feelings amongst Jews, but it's not necessarily connected with the mitzvah of Seudat Purim. And a lot of halachic questions about Mishloach Manot hinge on this famous Chakira, whether it's connected. The Rambam clearly brings it down in connection with the Seudat Purim. But is it that I'm basically giving another person food to help them with their Seudah, or no? Or is it not that? And a lot of questions, I'll give you an example. Can you give Mishloach Manot? Here's an example which is halacha l'maisa. You have a friend living in Yerushalayim. Can you be Yotze on the 14th? You live in Efrat or Beitar. Can you give your Mishloach Manot to your friend who is not celebrating Purim today? Or do you have to give it davka to a person who's celebrating Purim today? So if it's connected with the Seudah, so you have to give it to someone where today's their Seudah. Now, maybe one can argue if tomorrow's their Seudah or Sunday, they could put it in the refrigerator. But for the most part, one would say that it has to be someone it's Purim for them today. You can't give Mishloach Manot to someone, or let's say someone from Yerushalayim. Can they give you who live in Efrat their Mishloach Manot? They give Mishloach Manot on Sunday this year. So can they give their Mishloach Manos to you, even though it's not Purim for you? So if it's connected with the Seudah, the answer is no. If it's just a matter of creating goodwill amongst the Jewish people, so it's goodwill amongst the Jewish people. It's not connected whether it's your Seudah or not. So that's an interesting, and there are a lot of questions. Basically, every question, not every question, but a lot of halachic issues which are connected to Mishloach Manot hinge upon this Chakira, whether it's chelik of the mitzvah of Seudat Purim or not. At any rate, he says, the more you create the goodwill, it's a nice thing to do. And if a person doesn't have what to give Mishloach Manot, the Gemara gives a story. If people don't have a lot of resources or money, so what we could do is we could just switch seudas. I take what I prepared for my Seudas Purim, I give it to you. You give it to me, and then we're Yotzei our Seudas Purim, and then we're also Yotzei the mitzvah of Mishloach Manot Ish L'Re'ehu. Clearly, according to the Rambam, Mishloach Manot is connected to the mitzvah of Seudat Purim, and the mitzvah of Seudat Purim, he doesn't say it clearly here, it has to be during the day. Eating at night may be nice if a person has a Purim party Thursday night, but it's not the mitzvah of Seudah. The Seudah has to be during the day. The Chayev L'Chalek La'aniyim B'Purim, he says in Halacha Tezayin, there's a mitzvah to give matanos le'evyonim. Ein pochatin mishnei aniyim noten lechol achat matana achat o mo'ot o minei tavshil o minei ochlin. Shene'emar u'matanot le'evyonim. Shtei matanot l'shtei evyonim. It doesn't mean two, it doesn't mean four. It means two separate matanot to two evyonim. Mishloach manot ish l're'ehu. Two portions to one friend or acquaintance or enemy. Or matanot le'evyonim is a matana. It could be money. It could be the value of money to two poor people. Matanot le'evyonim, two poor people. Ve'ein medaktigim b'ma'ot Purim. Purim is a time when we don't, there's a special halacha on Purim that we don't read closely. When the Kai comes to knock at our door on Purim with the letter from Rabbi Riskin, we don't pull out the magnifying glass to make sure that the date is correct on Purim. On Purim, even if a guy has an expired letter, we give them. Doesn't mean you should give the most of your money to him, but we ain't medaktigin. On Purim, we're a little freer than we are normally. Kol haposhet yado, anybody who puts their hand out. Again, doesn't mean that we always give the bulk of our tzedakah or our matanos le'evyonim. There are people, and I'm sure everybody in the community, there are causes, and they know there are gabayit tzedakah who know the people who really need the tzedakah, and it's money that you get. Anybody will tell you, I'm not. This is not my psak, but the bulk certainly we should be giving to places where we can feel most secure that it's getting to the right people, to the people who are poor. The joke they used to say in yeshiva that matanos evyonim, you have to find a person who's really poor. An evyon is a destitute person. An ani, even though the Rambam uses the term ani here, but generally the Mefarshim say an ani is a poor person, an evyon is a very poor person. We have it in Eshes Chayil. It says kappa parsa le'ani, her hand, her one hand, she stretches out to the ani, the yadeha, and both hands, shilchala evyon. The evyon needs two hands because the evyon is in a much worse situation than an ani. So an evyon is a very poor person. So we try to find, with the people who are really needy to give them on Purim, we try to give to the evyon. As I started telling you this, the joke they'd say about a guy who says, he says to his friend, the yeshiva bacher says to his friend, "Oh, I found a person who's a real evyon. He's a real, very, very, very poor person to give matanos levyonim. I could be yotzi matanos levyonim. So I found a person who's taka, a real poor person." So his friend says to him, "No, tell me who. Tell me where he lives so I can give him too." He says, No, I don't want you to give him. I want him to stay in Evyon. So I don't want you to take away his Evyon status. It's a joke. But the idea is to try to really give people who are in need matanos le'evyonim. And that's what we do. And then the Rambam, this is really why I wanted to come and show you. The Rambam ends up with a beautiful, beautiful halacha in halacha Yud Zayin. He finishes the laws of Purim, where he gives a little musar, so to speak. He says, "Mutav la'adam," better for a person. This I always quote. I always say so. Laharbot b'matanot le'evyonim, milaharbot b'seudato uv'shloach manot ishloreyav. Better to spend more money giving matanos le'evyonim. Better to put more effort into the matanos le'evyonim than to put the effort. It's good to have a nice Sudas Purim. It's good mishloach manot, especially in these days, friendships, and to show friends and to give matanot le'evyonim, to give mishloach manot. It is marbeh shalom v'reyus. There's no question about it. But he says if you have to choose where you put the bulk of your, you look at, unfortunately, sometimes you see these ads from Mishloach Manot that people, you have all preparation, hundreds of shekel to put these fancy Mishloach Manot in the wrapping paper and all kinds of things. And Matanos Levyonim, you find somebody, you give them 10 shekel, 20 shekel. The Rambam says, better to give and to invest in the Matanot Levyonim, milaharbot b'seudato, than laharbot b'seudato mishloach manot loyav. She'ein, look at this beautiful Rambam. She'ein sham simcha gdola u'mefoara, because there is no greater happiness and no more glorious happiness, simcha, true simcha, ela l'sameach lev aniyim, other than to be mesameach, to gladden the hearts of the poor, the tomim and orphans, the almanot and widows, the gerim, and those people who are gerim. Shehamesameach lev ha'umlalim ha'elu, because those who are mesameach, the hearts of those who are downtrodden, are domeh lashchina. They are become, in a way, we become, by doing that, we become godlike. Shene'emar, as the pasuk says, lahachayot ruach shfalim ulahachayot lev nidkaim. That just like God gives life, when you give to those who are downtrodden, you become godlike in a way to give. And it's referring to God also, but it's more than that. It's like it's a chiyus, that you give a person true, you gladden them and you lift up their hearts, and you are like Mechayim Mason, you give life to them. So the Rambam says this beautiful, beautiful halacha that really one should really concentrate on Matanos Levyonim, because there's no greater simcha that we look at for people who really can use the cheering up and can use the person who doesn't not necessarily get the shalach manos or the nice shalach manos or the nice gift or that they to get that, how meaningful it is to really be able to get that. I still remember, I told my kids, they used to listen to Uncle Maishi. I'm sure your kids also, right? Uncle Maishi our kids grew up on Uncle Maishi. And I remember Uncle Maishi had the Hachnasas Orchim song. And in the Hachnasas Orchim song, there was one of the lines, it's can't get out of your head, unfortunately. Uncle Maishi, once it's there, it never leaves. Hachnasas Orchim, it means inviting guests. Hachnasas Orchim, it's friendship at its best. And with all due respect to Uncle Maishi and the mitzvah man, Hachnasas Orchim is not friendship. Hachnasas Orchim is those people who other people are not inviting. Those people who it's a little bit harder to have for over and to have a meal and to give them. To have friendship is friendship. To have your good friends over for a meal is great. It's good. We should all do it. We should be zoche to be able to return to doing it. But it's not exactly Hachnasas Orchim. True chesed, to go reach out to those people who are in need, is really and truly godlike. And that's what the Rambam is teaching here at the end of Hilchos Megillah. Hope everyone has a great week. It's great, good to see everyone somewhat. And look forward to being able to get together.
Thank you
again
so
soon.
much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Thank
Rabbi
you.
Stavsky. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you all.
so much.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Thank you.